Welcome back to Socedo Live. You've got Adam and Asim here, and today we're talking about our brand new partnership with Marketo, the biggest marketing automation player out there for B2B companies. We'll be at Marketo Summit in a couple of weeks, so if you're there, let us know. We're going to be announcing lots of good stuff, but we're really excited, so we wanted to get on live video and share a little bit more. You know, one of the reasons why we're so excited about our partnership with Marketo is because it really is all about the deep integration between the Socedo software and the marketing automation platform that Marketo has built. When we started Socedo back in 2013, the philosophy that got us to where we are today was looking at social media like one big CRM or marketing automation system. B2B marketers, their goal is to get a new contact into marketing automation, whether you're going and buying data or you're getting that in as a form fill. And then at that point, you kind of know who they are. You know what their job title is and what activities they've taken. But you don't really need somebody in your marketing automation system because all of social media acts like the same thing, right? You are able to see job titles and company names, again, only public information, but you're able to see activities. When does somebody tweet about a certain event or engage with a competitor? And so our whole philosophy around B2B marketing when it comes to social media is that you've got to tightly integrate what's happening out in the social world with marketing automation and with the CRM system itself. And that's why we're just so excited about the partnership with Marketo. I think that really brings to life the mission that we set out to really accomplish 5 years ago. And now we're really able to bring that kind of layer of ROI to the B2B marketer when it comes to demand generation.
That's right. Actually, we call it ourselves this idea of social media demand generation. That's what's on our website. What does that mean to you, Asim, if you had to explain that to someone?
Yeah, so to me, it's all about, one, finding the right audience, right? We as B2B marketers, we're not going after millions and millions of consumers. We're typically going after tens or hundreds of thousands of B2B contacts, and finding them on social media is kind of the starting point to knowing your audience. And once you find them and you're able to understand what they're interested in, that's when you can really start to put the right communications in front of them at the right time in order to actually generate demand and move those people through your funnel.
That's right.
So that's the starting point, is instead of just looking at the people that you already have in your marketing automation database, you should be tracking activities against everybody that's out there on social media and then bringing that data back into the marketing automation system. And that's what we do with Marketo. And so you can hook up Socedo, and every time a new contact engages with a competitor, you can pull in that contact into Marketo, maybe send it off to one of your sales reps, or start to retarget them, or just keep them in your database because you know that they're kind of maybe in a buying cycle or thinking about your topic. The same thing can be done with your own handles. So we see this all the time. B2B companies are investing in a social presence, but they don't track the ROI on that. It's really hard to do. With Socedo and Marketo together, you can now look at every single person who follows your handle, get that contact into Marketo, and then get better attribution and better ROI tracking as those people move through the funnel itself.
That's right, that's right. You know, and I think of, everyone who kind of uses Marketo these days is using some kind of data enrichment on top of their Marketo database, and we know that the value of data is just so high these days, especially in B2B marketing. But there's often kind of this gap in terms of activity data, or what are my leads doing out there online? And I think that's a really cool way to kind of bridge the gap between social, which is such a high frequency channel, and marketing, which should be high frequency if we can actually get the right information on our leads.
Totally. And that's what Marketo is all about, right? It's not just the contact and the job title, the contact information, the location, but it's about the activities that you're tracking on that lead or that prospect. So this is what Marketo does. When you have a prospect in your database and they come to your website, you can see what pages they were looking at. You can score that lead appropriately. You can send them off to your sales team at the right time. You can put the right message in front of them. But you're only able to do that with your own properties. So you're able to have that visibility when somebody's coming to your website. You're able to have that visibility when somebody is engaging with your email. But what if they haven't come to your website yet? What if they're part of the many people who don't engage with your marketing emails? Well, now with Socedo plus Marketo, you can get visibility into the third-party actions that one of your leads or prospects might be taking. So for example, they haven't come to your website, they haven't engaged with an email, but they just retweeted an influencer in your space. Now as a marketer, you're going to be able to have that information in Marketo so you can still score against that activity. You can still pass that interesting moment to your sales rep, and you can send them the content that might be related to that influencer. So you just did a joint webinar with that influencer, you see your prospects engaging with that influencer. Well, what's the type of content that you should send? You should probably send that joint webinar with that influencer because it's hyper relevant at that time to that prospect.
Great. So what else does this mean for demand gen marketers? What's going to be new now that Socedo is really powering the demand gen engine?
Yeah, so the first is one, finally understanding ROI from social media as a B2B marketer. We know that the traditional communication channels are becoming less and less effective, phone, email, and this is going to empower us to create more ROI out of these new channels like social networks, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. So that's kind of number one. Number two, it's going to give you more visibility into what your contacts are actually interested in. So instead of just waiting for them to come to your website or engage with your email, you're going to be able to have a better understanding of who your contacts are interested in, what they're interested in, and you can slice and dice that in all sorts of different ways. You can go and say, of my top 10 target accounts, what are the things that they're tweeting about the most? Who are the influencers that they're engaging in the most? And that can help kind of direct your other marketing activities as well. And then, of course, there's this idea of orchestration. I think we all know that, it's becoming harder and harder for sales reps to reach out. There's more and more technology that can help us to automate that, but the content itself, we as buyers are kind of becoming immune to these messages, right? We've seen the same templates come from our sales reps before. And the key to solving this problem is to bring context into the message. And so if you can have activity context in your messaging, whether it's coming from a sales rep or it's an ad or it's an email, you're going to see higher engagement, you're going to see higher effectiveness. And that's important, especially as a B2B company when you're going after target accounts. You've got a very limited audience, and so 1% or 0.5% engagement rates just aren't going to cut it, right? Every single email that you send, you've got to make as relevant as possible because you're dealing with such a small audience.
Yeah, that's right. When we started running contextually relevant emails using some of this social data, we actually found our click-through rates jumped up to 6% on some of these campaigns, which again, I'm not ashamed to say that our normal email rates are less than 1%. Right. I think a lot of B2B marketers are there. So that's huge gains. And of course, you look all the way down the funnel, your conversion rate's about 25% higher.
Yeah.
And you're actually reaching out with people on multiple channels and being more relevant to them with all this external data. So that's awesome. What else? What are the final points that people need to know about Marketo plus Socedo together?
Yeah, well, I think, just to kind of continue with what you were saying, right, that 25% increase is for a few different reasons that make a ton of logical sense. One, you've got to have an omni-channel approach, right? You can't just be dedicated to email, phone, but you've got to be thinking about touch points on social networks as well. Two, context is super important, right? Putting the right message in front of the right person. If somebody just did something on Twitter and you can relate to that in the email, the chance that they read the email and they get back to you is much higher. And then, of course, you're also just kind of reaching out to people at the right time. That's why these leads move 25% faster, is because if they're already thinking about your space and you can detect that on social media, then chances are that's the best place to kind of invest your sales reps' time and the time of your team. So they really do accelerate things. I think marketers have really seen a disconnect between social media and the funnel in the past. And that's what our whole goal is with this partnership with Marketo, is to make those things basically the same core, right? That now you can look at social media the same way you look at your marketing funnel that's really being enabled through the Marketo marketing automation platform.
Awesome. So how can people get started?
So sign up for a trial, Socedo.com, but like I said, we're also going to be at Marketo Summit coming up in 2 weeks. I think that's April 29th through May 2nd down in San Francisco. You can find us in the Partner Theater on the exhibit hall. I'll be there. Would love to meet you and take you through a demo of Socedo.